Hey, Matt Henderson here, and I'm coming to you from my backyard this time. This video is all about practicing from a net. 3 big tips on how to practice in a net. Coming right at you here. Okay, speaking to practicing into a net in general, I think there's a lot of negative connotation that can come from it. Hey, I can't see the golf ball. I don't like hitting off a mat. Stuff like that. I think there is a lot of positive that can come from practicing into a net. And one of those things, if you're trying to work on your golf swing, I think it's a huge positive. We can get very internally focused. We can get very focused on kind of what's happening on the bubble right around us. And we can work on making these mechanical changes that we're trying to implement without necessarily the negative repercussion of what the ball might be doing. So in that light, I think it's a huge positive. Now in the negative, I think we can get into some very poor setup habits is what I generally see folks coming back down to the tee that have been relegated to a net for a while. And that is where we're going to come in with tip number 1. So tip number 1 here is making it a practice process in terms of it's not going to be just me randomly hitting golf balls for 10 minutes. It's going to be me working on posture for 2 to 3 minutes. It's going to be me working on small pitch type motions where I'm working on low point control for 2 to 3 minutes. And then, you know, I have this particular thing in my full swing that I'm working on in terms of, you know, trying to get differently into my trail hip, something like that. That's going to fill the next piece. So it's a very oriented piece, and that is tip number 1. So something like this, to where that first 5 minutes has me with some sort of a ball position reference, some sort of an alignment reference on my mat. And I'm getting very much into referencing how my body is sitting into here. Maybe some sort of a little bit of a rehearsal onto where this is how I want my hip to feel. Very, very diligent motion. And then we can strike. So that is how we need to run our practice plan while we're still in our net. Tip number 2, kind of mentioned in there, has a lot to do with keeping this sustainable. It's when we don't have ball information, it can get a little bit boring, right? We don't have the input of the golf ball. We don't have the input of our normal game. So we want to keep this sustainable. And I would recommend 10 to 15 minute clips, right? Let's do 15 minutes. We're going to segment it just like we talked about in tip number 1. And then I'm going to set it down. I'm going to go and do something else. It's very hard to sit here for an hour at a time. We can lose focus without the external cues of the golf ball very, very easily. So let's keep it sustainable. Tip number 3, you're going to see screenshots rolling across the screen right here from the launch monitor that I use. And this is a combine. I really like people to go through the combine to start to get them into what I call transfer practice, in terms of this is how we're going to get things to a golf course. And this is the biggest piece that is generally missing from practice into a net. We don't make it random enough. We do too much in the mechanical side of things. So what I have in the description of this video below, there's going to be a link to my website, and there's going to be some flashcards sitting at that link. I want you to print those flashcards off, and we're going to make our own combine that you're going to do right here. Now, all that combine it really is just different golf shots. And I know we can't see the ball. I know we're not going to see feedback into where the ball goes, but it's more about the process of trying to hit the golf shot. So that's what we're trying to introduce into this, in terms of, here's my ball. I draw the first flashcard. It says I need to hit a 65-yard wedge. So now I have to go over to my bag. I'm going to grab my wedge, and I have to kind of get into the idea of hitting the 65-yard golf shot. So I'm going through the practice process. I set up, and I move through it. Now I can judge the contact up a little bit, but it's not about knowing if that ball went 65 yards or not. It's about changing my mindset into, okay, I'm just not sitting here and pounding 8 irons into this for an hour straight, right? So now I draw the next flashcard, and it says something in terms of you have to hit it 150 yards and a little lower than normal. So we're pretending like there is a wind in there, and it'll give a mile per hour on the flashcard and a couple other little directions. So now I'm putting myself in that mindset of, all right, that is going to be X club for me, and I'm going back over the bag, I'm grabbing it, and maybe I'm thinking this is going to be a bit of a partial swing compared to normal. Well, now I'm back here behind the ball, I'm planning this stuff out, I'm getting my mind organized like I was actually on the golf course. Very important step to practicing into this net here, and I can stand up, and I move in, and I can hit that golf shot, and all about the process on that one. I grade myself in terms of the process. So that's the 3 tips. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And if you're ever in Las Vegas and interested in golf instruction, stop by my website at matthendersongolf.com, and don't be bashful, just come on out to TPC Las Vegas. We'll see you out there.